My name is Reverend Leslie Goodwin. I'm the other of your senior ministers here at New Vision Center, and it is Easter. And you might have guessed from Cerise's beautiful song that our theme this year for Easter is Rise Up. Easter Sunday comes at the culmination of a month that is filled with holiness. From the Christian tradition, from the Jewish tradition, we've reached the end of the Passover celebration. And if you are familiar with the Christian tradition, you know that at the heart of Easter is the story of the willing death, entombment, and resurrection of Jesus, the Christ, the master teacher. This time last year, this talk focused on being in the tomb, about the willing entombment, the willing death of Jesus, and how in the story he knew he was going to die, and he didn't do anything to stop the process. He trusted God's timing, and he believed that he would be reborn. 3 days was God's timing. I'm sure Jesus would have preferred, not at all, or 15 minutes, some kind of a guarantee. But he got 3 days. And we talked about how we step into the opportunity to go within and rest and trust God's timing. And I didn't think God would take a year. We would have liked 3 days, right? But we're back together now, and we're talking uprising now because, well, this slide tells it. Lockdown never really worked well around Easter anyway. So if this is news to you, this is our first day back in the sanctuary together for a really good long time, and there are tears surfacing easily on the faces of your ministers and a lot of your fellow congregants and community members because we are just so happy to be together, to have this opportunity. So let's talk about resurrection. There's the story in a book that is 2,000 years old, approximately, a little bit more. And then there's what does it mean to us? So literally the resurrection is coming back from the dead. Jesus died. He stayed died for a few days. And then he came back from the dead. And it's an exciting and interesting story. And what does that mean for us today, right now, on Easter Sunday 2021? So I went to the Metaphysical Dictionary, which was written by Charles Fillmore, who was one of the founders of the Unity Churches, which are one of our sister churches. The Fillmore family and Ernest Holmes studied from the same teacher, Emma Curtis Hopkins, my favorite. And he wrote this wonderful book that we can go to look at how to read the Bible from a metaphysical perspective so we get that additional layer, not just the story of what happened, but also what does that mean for us? Because you may remember, those of you who went to Sunday school, you may remember that Jesus did not say, I'm going to do it, and then you all go take naps and play on your phones. He didn't say that. He said, and you too will do greater things. You too will do greater things. Work greater miracles. Be bigger teachers. Embrace this teaching and walk out this consciousness of love all over the planet. You. He didn't say, and not Sandy. Sorry, you're not off the hook. So what does it mean to us? And so here's what he said. He said, it is that the resurrection in each of our lives is the lifting up out of the sense, the logical mind, up out of the material consciousness and into the spiritual up-leveling. Lifting into the Christ consciousness, which is the unconditional love consciousness. That we are reborn into being able to see the face of God in every human being, in every animal, in every living sentient thing. Doesn't that sound delicious? Oh, but my friends, he had more to say. Charles Fillmore said, "The resurrection takes place here and now in all who commit their lives to the spiritual law under which it works." All who commit their lives to it. We have to choose it, and then we have to do it. It doesn't just happen at us. We get to be a part of it. He said it happens in our mind, our body, and our spirit. That we are reborn with our thinking. We are reborn with the very cells of our body and our DNA. We are reborn in our souls, in our memories, in our beliefs, in our understanding. We are reborn into the consciousness of unconditional love, which is what Jesus, that master teacher, came to teach us to walk out. And he kept insisting. The dude said it a whole bunch of times in his book. I don't know if you've read his book. It's popular. He kept saying, do as I say, do as I do. Don't just repeat my words. You got to do it. You got to live it. You got to be it. You got to embody it, right? And let it ooze out of your very pores. Oh, and so when we choose to be lifted by love, when we choose in this moment to look around at these faces of these wonderful people, when we choose to turn in our homes and look at our family members and the pictures of our friends, we are choosing to let the light of the Christ consciousness into us so that we can be reborn, so that our lives can be remade. And it's hard to remember to do it when you don't have a very peppy lady in front of you telling you about it. We have this tendency to fall back into our old way of thinking, right? Which is why in the story, in the Bible story, Jesus comes back to life. He goes on about his business, because living people don't hang around in tombs. They go do stuff. And along come the women who loved him, and they find an empty tomb, which is disturbing. People don't usually get up and walk away after they've been put in there. And two men appeared to them, two men in gleaming white robes, two angels. And they said to these upset women, "Why do you look for the living among the dead? He's not here. He's risen. Why do you look for the living among the dead?" They might as well have said, "Why do you look for the old among the new? Why do you look for the vibrant amongst the crusty, used up garbage? Why do you look for the exciting, fresh new life amongst all of your sadness and old memories and things that you think you have to hold on to? Why do you look for a rebirth, a revitalization of your life amongst all of your BS stories about why you can't have it? Why are we looking for the living among the dead? We are risen. We are risen. We are not held captive. We are not closed out of this sanctuary. We are risen. But we have to choose it, and we have to know it. And so I ask you, my friends, I ask you, are you willing to rise? Are you willing to be risen? Are you willing to choose joy in the form of a fresh life? If you are, say, "I am risen." If you are willing to choose health and rebirth and put away illness, say, I am risen. If you are ready to embrace friendship and joy again, say, "I am risen." If you are ready to make life anew by reclaiming your power of creativity, say, "I am risen." Look around at the beloveds around you and say, "We are risen. We are risen. We are risen. We are risen." And we only have to do that every single day, probably 15 times a day. Luckily, one of the wonderful things about Science of Mind is that it gives us tools to remember, to anchor the truth, and to remember that we are choosing to remake our life anew with every breath, every day, every decision, every thought. And Reverend Karin is going to carry this message even deeper with one of those wonderful practices.
Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Leslie. Oh, thank you. I love how Reverend Leslie talks about it is a choice. We get to choose, and then we get to engage in an action. And that is where those sheets of aluminum foil come in. For those of you at home, if you can't find one, just use a piece of paper. I hear everyone in here has it. Does everybody have one? Do we need to get some? If you don't have one, just if you raise your hand, somebody will drop it off. And I invite you, once you have them, just let it rest on your lap. We're just taking care of the logistics. They're taken care of. Beautiful, beautiful. And so please join me as we allow our eyes to close, because this is very much an inward process. And so we breathe into this space, hearing the echo of that beautiful message, feeling what has called us to be brought forth through us, as us, by this gift of life that we have. This is the time when we lay down any excuses of, I am not old enough, or not young enough, or not smart enough, or any enoughs. We just lay them down. And we realize that we are called forth to bring forth what is ours to do by the means of us. And so breathing into the space within, allow yourself to connect with that which you are devoting this gift called life to. Perhaps it is a relationship where you want to show up as that unconditional love, the Christ consciousness. Perhaps it is a new career where you give your gifts. Perhaps it is finally writing that book, singing that song. Perhaps it is making the move. Or perhaps it is being joy or being adventurous. I trust that everyone is connecting with exactly what is theirs to do. And then ask yourself, how can I make a representation of that with this aluminum foil? And allow your creativity to take you there. We have 2 minutes. 2 minutes to create something that, whenever you look at it, says to you, this is what I'm bringing into the world. have another 30 seconds. No pressure. This is just for us. You can take a moment, and if it feels comfortable, let another see your creation, what you are for, the stand that you are taking. Yes. And now, I invite us to take it to our hearts. I know I shouldn't have invited people to chat with one another. I'm almost losing the corner over there. Come back into the center of your being. Hold your creation to your heart, and let's anchor in prayer. How grateful I am. How grateful I am. How grateful I am. I invite all the practitioners and ministers of this teaching to please rise. Hold this space of gratitude for all the good that is taking place right here, right now, for the love that is present in this room, for the joy, for the experience of rising up. Grateful for our connection to that which is greater than we are. We call it God, Spirit, infinite intelligence. And so we allow that which is greater than we are to guard, guide, and direct us and hold us in love, in light, always and in all ways. As we are willing to take this step, as we are willing to experience this energy of rising up and bring force into this life, now, the goodness that we connected with, the gift that is ours to give, that can only be given by means of us. And we notice that gratitude just bubbles up, the gratefulness for life, the gratefulness for this moment, just the way it is. And so it is with an overflowing heart and so much gratitude. We place this word into universal law. And we have made a commitment to ourselves to be who we came here to be. And so it is.